There's a certain presence some men carry that you can't explain with confidence tips, body language tricks, or social skills. They don't dominate rooms. They don't seek attention. They're not loud, flashy, or trying to prove anything. And yet, people feel them the moment they enter a space. Conversations shift. Respect appears without demand. And women, especially, respond differently, often without knowing why. That presence isn't charisma. It isn't arrogance. And it isn't confidence in the way most men are taught to chase it. It's standards. A man with standards moves through the world differently because he isn't negotiating his worth in real time. He isn't adjusting himself to fit situations that feel wrong. He isn't bending just to be liked, chosen, or kept around. And because of that, his energy is calm, selective, and self-contained. Most men think standards are about what you say you want, your preferences, your boundaries, your rules. But standards are felt long before they're spoken. They show up in what you tolerate, what you walk away from, how quickly you disengage from disrespect, and how little you need external validation to stay grounded. This is why men without standards often feel invisible or disrespected, even when they're doing everything right. They're present, they're available, they're accommodating, but there's no weight behind their presence, no edge, no sense that they could leave and be just fine without you. A man with standards doesn't need to threaten distance. His willingness to walk away is built into who he is, and people sense that immediately. Not consciously, but intuitively. It's why women test him differently. It's why conversations feel more intentional around him. It's why his silence carries more meaning than another man's words. In this video, we're going to break down what actually creates that aura, why standards change how people experience you, how men lose respect without realizing it, the difference between real boundaries and control, and why walking away, calmly, without drama, is the strongest signal of value a man can send. This isn't about becoming rigid, cold, or unapproachable. It's about becoming grounded enough that your presence speaks before you ever do. Let's get into it. A man's aura isn't created by confidence tricks or dominance. It's created by what he won't tolerate. Long before you speak, people read how you move, what you engage with, and what you quietly disengage from. That's where standards live, not in statements, but in behavior. Most men think standards are something you explain. They're not. The moment you feel the need to justify, defend, or negotiate your standards, you've already weakened them. Real standards don't announce themselves. They're enforced naturally through alignment and distance. When a man has standards, his energy is settled. He doesn't rush to be liked. He doesn't overextend to keep people comfortable. He doesn't panic at tension or silence. That calm creates a subtle pressure in the room. Not fear, but awareness. People sense that access to him isn't guaranteed. This is why standards create an aura before words ever do. They remove desperation from your presence, and desperation is the fastest way to lose respect. A man without standards leaks urgency, trying to keep conversations alive, smooth over disrespect, or hold on to dynamics that are clearly misaligned. A man with standards doesn't chase clarity from chaos. He observes. He lets behavior speak. And when something crosses a line, he doesn't argue. He adjusts his position. That adjustment is felt immediately. Women feel this especially strongly. Not because they're judging you, but because they're responding to certainty. A man who knows what he accepts and what he doesn't creates psychological safety, even when he says very little. His stillness communicates, "I won't lose myself to keep you." That's the foundation of the aura. Not arrogance, not performance, but a quiet self-respect that doesn't need approval to survive. The moment a man relies on validation, his standards start to erode. Not all at once, subtly. He replies a little faster than he wants to. He explains a little more than necessary. He tolerates small things he told himself he wouldn't. And over time, his presence loses weight. Men with standards don't chase validation because they don't need external permission to feel grounded. Their sense of self isn't built on reactions, replies, or reassurance. It's built on internal alignment, doing what matches their values even when no one claps for it. Validation seeking creates inconsistency. One day you're firm, the next you're flexible. One moment you're decisive, the next you're bargaining. People pick up on that instantly. Respect doesn't disappear because someone dislikes you. It disappears because they sense you're negotiating with yourself. A man with standards understands something most men miss. Approval is unstable currency. It can be given, withdrawn, or weaponized. So he doesn't build his identity around it. He builds it around discipline, self-trust, and restraint. This is why he doesn't over-explain. Over-explaining is an unconscious request for validation. Do you understand me now? A man with standards doesn't need to be understood by everyone. He needs to be understood by himself. When someone tests him, withdraws, or reacts emotionally, he doesn't scramble to restore balance. He lets the imbalance reveal the truth. He knows that chasing validation only rewards poor behavior and teaches people that his boundaries are flexible under pressure. Ironically, this is what draws people in. Not the absence of care, but the absence of neediness. When a man doesn't seek validation, his attention becomes valuable. His approval feels earned. His presence feels intentional. Standards aren't about controlling others. They're about refusing to abandon yourself for acceptance. And the man who refuses to do that carries an authority that can't be faked. In a world addicted to reaction, calm stands out immediately. Most people live in emotional reflex. They react before they think, explain before they reflect, and chase resolution before understanding themselves. A man with standards moves differently. His calm isn't passive, it's controlled. This is where many misunderstand him. They assume calm means indifference, suppression, or emotional distance. In reality, it's the opposite. His calm comes from regulation, not avoidance. He feels everything. He just doesn't let feelings dictate his behavior. Men without standards are ruled by urgency. They rush to fix tension. They panic when something feels off. They treat discomfort as an emergency. A man with standards allows discomfort to exist without surrendering his frame. He doesn't need immediate emotional resolution to feel stable. That steadiness does something powerful. It shifts the dynamic. When someone tries to provoke, test, or destabilize him, the lack of reaction forces them to confront themselves. Chaos needs participation to survive. When it doesn't get it, it collapses. His calm also signals self-trust. He doesn't fear silence. He doesn't fear distance. He doesn't fear misunderstanding. Because he knows who he is and where he's going. That internal certainty is what most people are actually responding to. Not confidence, not dominance, but groundedness. This is why his presence feels heavier. He doesn't speak impulsively. He doesn't overreact. When he does respond, it's intentional, measured, clean. People listen more closely when words aren't wasted. Calm also protects him. It keeps him from being pulled into emotional debt, manipulation, or power struggles. He doesn't need to win arguments to win his life. He doesn't confuse intensity with connection. He knows that reacting emotionally often hands control to the loudest person in the room. In a reactive world, restraint becomes authority. And that authority isn't something you announce. It's something people feel the moment you don't flinch when they expect you to. A man with standards doesn't need to cut people off aggressively or announce his boundaries out loud. His standards do the filtering for him. Over time, the wrong people simply stop fitting into his life. This is where many men get confused. They think boundaries are about confrontation, about saying no loudly, correcting behavior constantly, or demanding respect. In reality, the strongest boundaries are behavioral, not verbal. They're enforced through consistency, not explanations. A man with standards doesn't over-accommodate. He doesn't bend himself to maintain access to people who drain him. He doesn't keep renegotiating what he already decided was unacceptable. When something crosses his line, he adjusts his availability, his energy, or his presence, calmly and without drama. That subtle shift does more than arguments ever could. People who were benefiting from his flexibility feel it immediately. The attention changes, the access changes, the dynamic changes. Some will correct their behavior, others will disappear. Both outcomes are useful. What matters is that he doesn't chase either result. He understands that not everyone is meant to come with him as he evolves. Standards naturally raise the cost of access, and not everyone is willing or able to pay it. This is also why his life feels quieter over time. Fewer emotional emergencies, fewer confusing dynamics, fewer people testing him. Not because he became cold, but because his consistency removed the incentive to push his limits. Men without standards often attract chaos because chaos senses flexibility. If someone can be guilted, rushed, or emotionally pressured, they will be. A man with standards isn't easily moved by guilt or urgency. He doesn't need to justify his boundaries to feel confident in them. This quiet firmness creates respect, even from people who don't like it. They may not agree with his decisions, but they understand something important. He won't betray himself to keep them comfortable. Over time, his circle tightens. Fewer people, higher quality. Less noise, more alignment. And that's not loneliness, that's clarity. By the time a man truly lives by his standards, something subtle but undeniable happens. His presence changes. Not because he's trying to project confidence, dominance, or mystery, but because there's no internal conflict left inside him. Most men leak insecurity without realizing it. They hesitate. They over-explain. They seek reassurance. They adjust themselves mid-conversation to avoid tension. People feel that immediately. A man with standards doesn't do that, because his decisions are already made internally. There's no negotiation happening in his head. This is why he feels grounded in rooms where others feel restless. He doesn't rush to be liked. He doesn't perform for approval. He doesn't need to prove his worth through words, stories, or status. His behavior already communicates everything. When he speaks, it's measured. When he listens, it's present. When he disagrees, it's calm. And when something doesn't align, he doesn't argue. He simply disengages. That's what gives his presence weight. People sense that he's not seeking anything from them, and paradoxically, that makes them more aware of him. This is especially noticeable in relationships. He doesn't chase connection, but he's capable of depth. He doesn't tolerate disrespect, but he doesn't punish. He doesn't cling, but he doesn't avoid. That balance is rare, and rarity creates gravity. The reason his aura feels different is simple. His actions are congruent. His words match his behavior. His boundaries match his values. His energy doesn't shift depending on who's in front of him. There's no mask switching, no emotional bargaining. Over time, this consistency trains people how to treat him. Not because he demands it, but because inconsistency no longer works on him. Manipulation fails, games fall flat, drama gets no return. This is what most people mean when they talk about presence, but few can explain it. It's not confidence as an act, it's self-respect as a lifestyle. And once a man reaches this point, he no longer wonders how to command respect. He simply notices that he's no longer questioned the way he used to be. Not because he became harder, but because he finally became solid. The aura of a man with standards isn't built through tactics, confidence tricks, or dominance games. It's built through alignment. When your values are clear, your boundaries are enforced, and your self-respect is non-negotiable, the world adjusts to you, not the other way around. You stop chasing validation because you don't need it. You stop explaining yourself because your actions already speak. You stop tolerating what drains you because you finally understand the cost. And that's when life changes. Not loudly, not dramatically, but permanently. This is the level most men never reach, because it requires walking away from comfort, approval, and familiar chaos. But if you've been listening to this and felt something click, that's not motivation. That's recognition. You already know what needs to change. Build your standards, enforce them calmly, live them consistently. And if you want to keep developing that kind of grounded authority, the kind that doesn't fade under pressure, stay here. This is the work. Because the strongest men don't demand respect. They make disrespect impossible.